Hi folks, this is Dan. I'm going to show you the Foenix IDE running bitmaps, tiles, and sprites. One of the examples I'm going to use is a little game I've been working on, which is called Game. So what I just did here is I loaded the hex file, and now the program is ready to go. So the whole point of building this IDE is that I'm trying to figure out, first of all, if there are problems with my programs, and then when I run the program on the machine, it hopefully works exactly the same way. So in this case, it does. So I'm just going to give you a quick example. I'm going to turn off the breakpoints. So what you can see here is that I've got my little game board that's getting loaded, and I got my player down here, and I got sprites moving around. So it was a lot of work, but anyway, this is the result at this point. So something I did way back when is that I wanted the user to be able to use the keyboard. So I'm typing the A and D keys here, and I can also go up and down. So if I don't get hit by a car, I can jump on one of the lily pads, and then a log, and then I'm home, right? So the game is not finished. So right now, when I get home, you'd want some score to go up. You'd want the screen to be shown differently here, and then you'd want the game to restart, the player to restart at the bottom. So now the only way I can continue is I have to jump in the water. Not sure why the frog is not able to swim, but anyway, that's not the problem at this stage. All right, so another thing that you can see in the IDE is that it displayed the number of cycles per second and the number of frames per second, which is about 62, 63 in this case. And this is just because the Windows .NET or Microsoft.NET timing functions aren't that great. So the timer is set to repeat every 16 milliseconds. So it gives us this odd number. All right, so this is all fine and good. The other thing that I've added to the IDE recently is a Joystick Emulator. So now I can move the frog to the left and right with the joystick, and it's going too fast. And there you go. So the reason it's going so fast is just because I'm polling the joystick address 50 times a second, which with the start of frame. So it's too frequent. So eventually I will change that. But just to elaborate a little bit on the joystick capability, what you'll see is that Beatrix has a address range for the joystick. So there are 4 joystick ports. So by default, all the switches are open. So we're showing a value of 9F. When I press a button, you'll see, and I'm using joystick 0 right now. So when I press a button, you'll see the value change, right? So 9B, 9.7, if I click down, 9D, the button, which is not active, results in a 9F. All right. Right. So this is very simple. I mean, it's why 8-bit programming is so awesome, is because it's really easy to understand. You go to an address, you can see something change, and then you poll it or you do something with it, and then it's all good. All right. What else? All right. So I'm going to pause the program right now. So I'm going to click on the step button. So you can see my game loop is just executing interrupts right now. And it's just typically is going to be the start of frame interrupt. So if I want to stop on the interrupts, I just check this box, right? So you see immediately it's going to stop in this loop, and then I'm going to go into my IRQ handler vector, right? So this is exactly what, the IDE was developed for, is to allow us to easily go into a part of the program, uh, check some values, and then continue, right? So because this starter frame interrupt is generated every 50 times a second, um, you know, it's almost too frequent. So you might just want to disable this one. You still want to have the keyboard interrupt, say, right? So now I can run this. Then when I hit a key on the keyboard, then I hit the breakpoint. All right, so and then I can step through, find out what my key was, etc., and then continue. Okay, the joystick is not raising interrupts, it's just changing a value in memory, and it has to be polled. Okay, so again, I'm going to pause the program. So what else is interesting here? So the thing is that we have a lot of sprites and a lot of tiles. So all this is controlled from Wiki. So Wiki starts at address AF0000, and you can set the register. So the master control register is the first byte in this memory range. And actually with FMX, we're also using the first bit of the second byte for high resolution, but that's not here yet. So what you can see here, the value is 3C. 3C, and look at the master control register. So the first 4 bits is a 3, then the next 4 bits are C, right? B and G. So I've got the graphics mode enabled, I've got bitmap, I've got tiles, and I got the sprite. So bitmap right now is not doing anything in this program. So when I click it, you don't see any changes here. You can see that the value now is 3.4 instead of 3C. I can disable the tiles, right? So, oh, there you go. So now all the tiles are gone. All that's left is the sprites. And then I can disable the sprites. So now it's just black. So I can display the tiles. And really what I do, what the program is doing when you display the tiles, that you can have 4 tile layers. So it doesn't discriminate between those. It's going to try to display all the layers you have enabled. Okay, so if you want to see the tile register, so there's one, right? So at address AF0100, you have the first tile register, which is 8 bytes. So if I set this to 0, you'll see the tiles are gone. If I set it to 1, there's something strange going on, and I'll go over this a little bit. It has to do with the stride of the bitmaps that I've loaded in memory, right? So when I type 81, my tiles are back to normal. Okay, so we have 4 layers of tiles, and they're stored in these addresses here, the first 2 rows. The tile maps themselves start at AF5000. So you can see, first of all, there's a bunch of empty cells here, and then we get 5, 5. So this pretty sparse, but then you start seeing some content, right? So this is set in my code. Basically, the first 2 or 3 lines here, or the first page almost, is just blank at the top here. And I just put some values in here because I wanted to be sure that nothing was getting displayed. So this is something I did just for debugging. So editing memory like this is a bit of a pain. I mean, if I go into one of these tiles and I say change this 2 to a 14, right? You can see that the tile here has been replaced with water, right? So this is okay, right? 3, then we have 4, 5. 5 is road, 6, nothing, right? So they're placed in strategic, right? So 11 is a little crown, flowers, etc. So anyway, so this is all fine and good, but it's not a good way to edit tiles. So what we have for this is that we have the tile editor. So in my tile editor, you can see the tiles I have, and you can see now that there's a lot of blank ones. and I also have my frog here, right? The sprites are stored in a different area of memory, and I don't have a sprite editor yet, but it's coming. So the way you would see that this is doing anything at all is, right, so let's go here. So here I can disable my tiles, my layers, right? So I'll disable this one and I'll reuse the same tiles at the same video address and then enable them. But the reason you don't see anything is that these tiles have not been assigned in the video memory, right, in the tile maps. So the way you do it is a lot quicker using the mouse to do it this way. And you can see now there's something funky going on, and that's because of my stride is not getting handled properly. So I need to do it as 81, and that's going to get saved here. The program will eventually do this. So anyway, you can, with the tile editor, you can just put things into place really quickly, and then you can go to your memory region and you can see what it looks like, and then we'll save that in a binary file that you can load in your assembly code. All right, but this allows you to make sure that your tiles are working okay. Okay, so this is the tile editor. So now if I close this, my game is pretty much, ruined. I can show my sprites again, but so what I need to do again is re-enable my first tile set, and then I'm going to disable the other one, and then I can continue playing, right? All right, so this is the tile editor. It's it's pretty cool. It's fairly interactive. You can change things, and then and just keep running the game, right? So the game is actually changing the tiles every few frames to make the water move and the little flowers move. So this is done in code.